Okay, update on the two twin 2006 Waverunner FX Cruisers. We did some work on them, so I'm coming at it kind of after the fact, but I'll go ahead and show you everything that we did, which really wasn't a whole lot to get these both going. On the last video, one of them ran, the other one would try to start. When you tried to start it, you could hear it trying to fire, but it just wouldn't catch. And so Joey had replaced both fuel pumps, and the one that kind of tried to start wouldn't even try before the fuel pump. It wasn't getting fuel at all. The fuel pump wasn't even coming on. So he replaced the fuel pump in both. That one started up perfectly, ran kind of good, not really perfect, but I figured it would clear itself out after a while, even though it didn't have much fuel in it, hardly at all. But I figured it would clear itself out, and sure enough, after running a little while, it's fine. We also went ahead and replaced spark plugs in both, even though I don't think that really had anything to do with anything. This one here, this is the one that after we replaced the fuel pump, it would catch. So I ended up taking all the coils out, which I had to do anyway, to replace the spark plugs. Replacing spark plugs didn't really help it any, so went ahead and checked for spark in each one of these. So just got an old spark plug, just arced it, and was getting good spark in every single one of them. Pulled the line here. I don't know how well you can see it, but this fuel line right here that goes to the fuel pump, pulled it out right there and cranked it, and yeah, fuel was coming out. So the fuel pump's working fine. So we knew we had spark. We knew we had fuel all the way up to the fuel rail. So I suspected, with this one sitting as long as it did, that it was clogged injectors, or the fuel rail was somewhat clogged or something to that effect. So we were looking at these, trying to figure out how to take them out. And on the surface it looks easy, but it's not. You have to take this box out. You have to remove the fuel line here, the whole assembly. And then likely there's some other shenanigans you have to do in order to get these to pull out. So we decided to take the cheap and easy way, had some fuel injection cleaner just laying around, and we pulled the fuel line here, but we pulled it at the pump and dumped the fuel out of the line, disconnected the fuel pump so it wouldn't pump fuel, and then took that fuel line, put it up here like this, and poured, I don't know, about 5 or 6 ounces of injector cleaner into it, and then immediately just hooked it right back up and hooked the fuel pump up and immediately started. And this thing immediately started, and it was the first time it started and ran. So we did that one more time to clear it out a little bit more, and sure enough, this thing started running better and better the more fuel ran through it. So we took these out on the lake this last Saturday, had them out there for a good hour, rode them around. They ran great, no hesitation. The fuel injectors were working great. As I probably mentioned on the last one of these, I don't remember which one it is, one of them, the gauge, I think this is the one that the gauge doesn't work. So the gauge probably got wet, shorted out. So nothing works on here. You don't know what the RPM is, you don't know what the speed is, you don't know what the gas is. The other one works fine. So really the only things to address on these things still are the one gauge, assuming we choose to do anything with it, because they're used $300 or $400 to get a working one, and I really don't know if I want to do that. And then the other thing is the reverse cable and the trim cable. So there's the trim adjustment, and it is totally seized. The reverse over here is totally seized, and that is the case on both of them. And we've tried to WD-40 the cables just from what we can see here and over in there. Tried to lubricate those a little bit with no luck. So I think our next step is to take those cables out. We're more concerned about the backwards going, the reverse, because these things are really hard to push off the trailer even in the water. So you really do need that reverse. I'm not so much concerned about the trim, so that'll be second, because I think that really only matters on these skis if you got like 3 people on it. And you know, it was fine when we were riding it without the trim, because it's just pointed straight ahead, just like this jet ski over here that doesn't even have that function. So not going to worry about that a whole lot, but I'm going to try to work on the reverse cable, pull it out. It seems like a simple thing, but it's really not. These cables are really expensive. The reverse cable is about $150 to $200. So I'm not just super excited about having to replace those. So I'd really like to pull them and see if we can get them unseized. But in any case, that's the latest update on these. I believe I'm going to go ahead and suck it up and order a couple of these air filters. They don't really look that great, and they've been in there forever. And unfortunately, they're like $90 a piece, but I'm going to go ahead and suck it up and do that. I'm going to go ahead and change the oil on both of these. We had added some oil and then found out we overfilled it, because you actually have to start the engine, let it run for 6 minutes, shut it off, and then immediately check the oil. Instead of like most vehicles where you wait for the oil to drain into the pan. So we overfilled it, and then I had to get my little electric suction pump and pump the excess oil out. So I somewhat did a little bit of an oil change, but I want to go ahead and do oil changes on both. But other than that, these jet skis are pretty much lake ready. We had them out for about an hour. We had a great time, and we're going to go again. More updates to follow.